Welcome back, everybody, to the Voices for Blogging podcast, where we have faces for radio and voices for blogging. As always, in Phoenix, Arizona, we have the Bumblebee. In Los Angeles, California, we have Royce Hamano. We have a lot to share with you today. So much has gone on. Today, we wanted to make sure we recorded because of the things that have gone on in the crypto world, the stock market, the economy, and of course, football and betting. Let's just say tonight, 3 missed field goals. That's all I can say about that. And we're going to pass it on to the Bumble later for
Cool.
his little segment about his Falcons and their game tonight. We're also going to talk about the meltdown at FTX in the crypto world. And I'm going to kind of toss that to our resident expert, Royce, to kind of explain his view on what's going on there in the meltdown at FTX and some of the financial misgivings and improprieties and all types of things that really are the things that people were complaining about the crypto world and how why not to trust it. Some of those things have come up, and we're going to start the show today by just talking a little bit about the reading we got in the economy about how inflation looks like it is slowing down. For those of you who have been listening regularly, I've been leaning a little bit on the side of the Fed is going to overreact and raise rates too much, that they probably should pause and just wait and see a little bit. The stock market really liked the readings today, shot up 1,200 points in the Dow, 6% on the NASDAQ. A lot of things going on, a lot of things to talk about. So, without further ado, let's kind of throw that out there and throw this to Royce first. Royce, give us your view a little bit on the stock market action today, the news and economy for the CPI, and then to also obviously talk about FTX and the shit show that that's become.
Yeah, I mean, the inflation came in a cooler print today, and I think that it was something that, obviously in this, bear market, the market was looking for, and based off of that, the market exploded today. I think it was up 3% in the pre-market trading, and from there, it just blew up. So I don't remember what the Nasdaq ended up at, but I think at one point it was up like 6% or something
Yes,
ridiculous like that.
absolutely. Up 6% plus. It was just hanging in that 5+% range for most of the day. And then the market rallied even more to the close. So it had a really strong close today.
I bet tomorrow it probably dump. Like nothing's changed. Like the Fed is still gonna be raising rates. I mean, they're saying I think like the terminal rate that they're looking at right now is like was it like 5.25 or 5.5%? I think. What are we at right now? It's four.
Fed funds
Is
rate?
it 3.75 to 4?
You
Yeah,
talk you talk about the Fed funds rate right now?
yeah. Is it 3.75 to 4?
Let me
I
pull
think
that
it
up for
is,
you
right?
right now. Right now it's 3.75 to 4.
Yeah.
Um,
So they were talking basically that they're gonna get to another 150 basis points,
Prior to this report,
which would take
yes.
us.
Prior to this report, that
Yeah,
that was the projection. They were going to go 3/4 of a point at least one more time, and maybe even a half on the the next two sessions after that. A lot of the
yeah,
talk and chatter has been today that people are calling for them to go 50 points in December. There's going to be one more CPI print before that, right before that meeting, and some are calling for 0.25. And Jeremy Siegel, who's definitely a big bull here, the
sure.
professor, he's calling for them to just
That
pause and
guy.
just watch. Right, that guy's a perma bull
Yeah,
right now. But then but
he's
he is,
he's
and
hilarious.
his point of view is interesting though because he thinks the Fed is using the wrong metrics for the housing sector, and in which case we actually had negative inflation this last month. And we'll see in time if he's right. But it is one of those things where not all the hikes have really gone through the system, and we've already had a much softer read on inflation. It's promising for the future. And we talked about this before. The stock market, it's always about looking forward at least 6 months, to kind of see where things are going to be. So I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see kind of how it goes.
I mean, the Fed uses lagging indicators, right?
Correct.
And I think that's what Siegel was saying one time when he was on like CNN, NBC or something, where they made the mistake in the beginning saying inflation was transitory and they missed it. And then now on the back end, they're doing the same thing where instead of, being late to inflation, now like they're late to inflation coming down or cooling off. And I mean, I can see his point.
I mean, I can
But
too.
every Yeah. I mean, everything the Fed board has said, like from Kashkari to I forget who was talking today, is basically they're not ready to stop yet in terms of raising rates and fighting inflation.
No,
So
and it's gonna be
yeah,
about the messaging they kind of send out in the next 3-4 weeks anyway, right? You know, they're gonna
yeah,
they're gonna do interviews and they're gonna start showing what their sentiment is gonna be for December. But if that CPI comes in soft again, it'll be hard pressed to continue at a 7.75. I think, if it comes in soft again for this month, because
you think so, but
yeah, I mean,
I think the Fed has a credibility problem now, and that's also what they're
right,
fighting.
it's so
You know,
even more,
Powell was pretty unequivocal in his speech last meeting
right.
in terms of what they're planning to do and where they're headed,
But that was
and
looking at the
I
other.
don't
That
think
was
that's going to
looking at the
change.
lagging
Yeah,
data from a month before that too. So it's kind of one of these things
yeah,
where you have, and we'll see how accommodating they'll be to the data, because everyone's going to say today was just a 1 month read, just the first month. Let's not overreact. But if we get this again for this month, then there's going to be a little bit more to talk about. I mean, and just kind of on just to make note, we talk about the market. The Dow Jones was up 3.75%, 1,201 points. The Nasdaq was up 7.35% in one day,
oh my God,
760.
that is
The
freaking
S&P
crazy.
500 up 5.54%, and the Russell 2000 small cap 6.11%. I mean, this is people's years. Like, if you if you were in the market, and like today I took advantage of the market and I sold. I sold things I got
Yeah,
gains on it, because things that I've been trading, I just sold it because, like you said, Royce, a big jump like this, at some point in time, we're gonna have a little pullback, and I can get back in. And I agree with Siegel that we're gonna have a year-end rally here for many reasons. Maybe not necessarily having to do with the fundamentals as of right now, but hope for the future and all this and that. Speculative thing. It's interesting though when you look at the world markets. The world markets are looking pretty good so far too at this moment. So I don't know. We'll see. But let's bring in
right.
Bumble's view of this, because he for the most part doesn't really participate too much in the financial world actively, and meaning he's trading products and those type of things. So I guess my question to you, Bumble, is where do you feel the pain of inflation the most as the everyday man?
Uh, the grocery store, man. You look at the prices of everything. I mean, you go to the grocery store and you get the normal things that you want, and some things the prices have doubled over time, within the past couple months. I know if it's happening here, it's probably even worse down there in Hawaii. So that's the number one place. I think they brought down the price of gas just a tad bit here, but it's still higher than it was. But for the most part, you
What
just
are you
get it
guys
in.
paying per gallon right now?
If you go to Sam's Club or Costco, it's like 4.19, I think,
It's about
something
the
like
same
that.
here then. That's about the same price here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but I would say not even 4 weeks ago it was like 4.79. So it did go down a lot, but before we were in the low threes. So those everyday items that you have to buy. I mean, a candy bar now,
Yeah.
not even
Okay.
a king size
Look,
candy bar,
this is
is
what I'm
two
talking
seventy
about.
nine. It's
This is what I'm
crazy.
talking about. I needed to know which one of your vices, which one of your things you really want to buy that everyone can relate to. A candy bar, man.
Bro, I
Candy bar,
refuse.
man.
I refuse. I'm not paying 2.79
Yeah,
for a regular Snickers. It's not
Might
happening.
might be the best diet plan.
you know,
The inflation might be the best diet plan of all time.
well,
Yeah.
it's
Nope.
it's it's crazy how much that's affected. Like even just like fast food. Like you
Mhm.
think fast food is so cheap, but like you go to like if you went to a McDonald's and you bought like one of these meals or whatever, you're just paying like $10.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Holy crap! I don't.
Yep.
And
It's just
And you know
amazing.
what's fascinating about that is that, when prices do cool off, and I look it on the wholesale side, I see it on the wholesale side. It actually has cooled off already. So
Mm.
what's interesting about that is they're making up, the companies might be making up for the money they lost in previous quarters, paying the higher prices
Yep.
now. And it's like a perfect
Yep.
excuse to raise the prices. And until the
Yep.
headlines change, this is the perfect time for some companies to go ahead and charge more and get it, and no one's going to
Yeah.
complain. And we've talked about this privately, Royce. Like, the juxtaposition with all this is like, if unemployment continues to be low, the buying power of Americans are going to be there. And Americans are terrible at saving money. So they're going to spend the money. They're going to buy at these higher prices. And then at that point, what's the motivation to drop these prices?
It's
Come on, Steve. Lower the prices.
Right? I mean,
ain't nobody gonna lower the
Ah,
prices.
but that's
right. The only time we're going to see
That's the
really
only thing
low
that the Fed's
prices,
doing, right?
yeah.
They're just trying to crush
I
demand.
mean, they're trying to get people fired. I mean, that's the thing that no one really wants to say, but they're trying to get people fired. But you look at the domino effect just the last week, mass layoffs at tech companies because they're
Oh
interest
yeah.
rate sensitive. So the tech companies are looking at this and they're not hitting the bottom line numbers, so they got to cut costs.
No, it's gonna
And it's
happen.
happening.
This is just the beginning.
This is
Yeah.
just the beginning because unemployment's under
Mhm.
4%. This is just the beginning. I would say the rate hikes are doing the job that they were intended to do. The question is, are
Yeah.
they going to go too far? But they probably will because they do have the mentality of they'd rather go too far than don't do enough. Because historically, if you don't do enough, that causes other kind of trouble that it's harder to dig out of, is what they'll say, and they'll point to the late '70s for that.
No, I mean look at it too, right? Like they missed the boat on inflation, saying it was transitory. If they come back now and say that inflation's gone and it heats up again, I mean that's terrible. They look terrible.
Yeah,
So I think they're gonna lean towards overdoing it and bringing inflation down, punishing inflation.
absolutely,
You know, they
absolutely.
have to. They don't really have another choice, or they lose all credibility.
Yeah, no, you're right. Absolutely. Royce, what are you paying for gas at the gas station on Sepulveda?
You know what, man? I have no idea.
Because you're Tesla now,
I
right?
have
You
not
went
looked.
electric, baby.
I have not looked at gas in like months. The last time I looked at gas was when I filled up my other car, and I filled the tank up. It cost me $100 for a 15-gallon tank.
Mhm. Only reason why I knew what our gas prices was because I passed it every day going to my job.
Yep. Are you driving
I
Brandy's car?
haven't.
Are
Yeah.
you driving
Oh
Brandy's
yeah,
car?
she works
Yeah.
from home, so I just drive the Tesla all the
So you
time.
both went electric during this time, and Royce, you hit it perfectly. I think when you bought your Tesla, it was just the perfect time before the price hikes in the Teslas
Yeah.
and all this stuff, and you didn't have to always buy gas as much anymore at those high prices as you bought it in time. You know,
Yeah. Who
Bumble,
knew?
you got yours. We got the Rav4 Prime. So every time we go out and we put Wetacole seats, easy plug, the free plug for you guys, Wetacole. So we take Ali's car to the beach all the time. Now instead of taking my truck, the only thing we miss out of my truck is I have my bin of like water and water bottles to rinse my feet. That kind of blows. So I gotta
Yeah.
I gotta I gotta park water in her trunk. But we all got in at the right time before all the lithium price spike that affect the productions of these cars, because the price of these electric cars are even gone up quite a bit. Where you do have to ask yourself, did you lose some value in buying
Yeah.
these things? The only thing that's really helping us is, and I don't know if your guys' cars are too new to get it, but it's the rebates. It's our tax credits,
Yeah.
and some of the
Tesla
2022s
doesn't
did.
qualify for it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Tesla doesn't
Tesla, you guys
qualify
used you guys
anymore.
used up
They
all the quota, so that becomes part of the equation now because you use up that quota at Tesla. Some people have to do the math. Is it really cheaper to go electric? Well, it's going to depend on how much your cost of electricity is where you are. Here in Hawaii, it's over 42 cents a kilowatt hour. So that's a
Hmm.
really big mathematical issue there when you kind of look at the cost.
42,
Yes, it's over 40 something cents. What is it in Arizona? 18?
18 or 20, but since we got
Correct.
solar, it's like 4.
Right.
Yeah.
Royce, do
damn.
you look
Does your
your PG&E
Mine is
bill
like around. Yeah, it's around. It depends on like
usage?
time of day.
Yeah,
Yeah, it depends on
but
usage.
on average, what do
I
you think you're
think
paying?
I think at the highest it's like 30 something cents, maybe 34 cents or something
You
like
guys are
that.
getting close to us,
But
which has
but
never used to be the case.
average average is probably around like 20 something.
25, we'll say.
Probably,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's still a ton cheaper than what we're paying here. My electric bill,
Oh yeah, it's nowhere near 42
yeah,
cents.
my electric bill is
Hmm.
pretty much $100 more a month for the last 6 months. And Hawaii's in a tough spot because where we get our oil from, we got our oil from Russia, and I
Hmm.
still believe we get them from Russia because we can't find another source to get the
Oh,
oil.
Yeah.
So
you
yeah,
guys.
so it's all Jones Act stuff, and that's stuff for politicians to argue about. But I'm pretty sure we still get it from there because I don't think we found another way to get another source in. Could be wrong,
You
but
guys got to get Josh Green to change all that.
well, we just gotta get we
That's
just
what I
gotta get
saw.
off we just gotta get off
And
oil.
hey, his wife is my classmate actually.
No way.
Yeah, I didn't. It's funny because when I was walking around Hawaii last time, I was looking and I was like, I think it was on a commercial, I was like, is that who I think it is? And I was like, oh yeah, it is.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
At least
so
you guys
that
are
was
not gonna have Kermit the Frog anymore.
Wait, who's
yeah.
Kermit the Frog?
Ige, Rocket Man,
Oh,
Missile
dude.
Boy.
We're
Yeah,
gonna make
I was
them
there when
use
I,
the mask all the time.
Yeah,
Love that guy.
like he's the Teflon man. Like I don't know what politician really could survive the missile crisis. He's the
that
Teflon
was
man.
pretty. That was pretty
That's
bad. Yeah,
crazy.
that
Like
was pretty bad.
grandmas were getting put in the freaking sewer. People are going down manholes.
Yeah, I was there. It's funny. I talk about that all the time. So like, I woke up in the morning to the mobile phone alert,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I opened it up and I'm looking at it, and it says ballistic missile inbound. Like this is not a drill. And I thought, man, I picked the wrong time to visit this place. Like I picked the wrong time. It's like this is how it's gonna. There's no. Where can you go? There's nowhere you're gonna be able to go.
Yep.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was
Oh,
like, well, I guess
Uh,
I'll just get drunk.
yeah. Yep.
that worked.
Kiss your ass goodbye kind of moment. It's like being on a plane. Put your head down, whatever, man. Just I know.
Yeah.
I mean, thank God it was pretty quick for the most part. Well, I had friends that told me it's all clear. The news just hasn't said it yet.
Yeah.
So that was nice to know pretty fast. But yeah, crazy stuff.
What I thought was that like if there was gonna be a actual ballistic missile, I turned on the news because if there was a ballistic missile headed towards Hawaii, that would be the biggest thing on every single station.
And they weren't
And there
prepared.
was nothing.
Yeah.
There was
No, it was
nothing.
like the Heidi moment for that Raiders football game where the thing like switched to a freaking Shirley Temple. Like, just kind of one of those things where it was such a weird 5 to 10 minutes of like, what the hell is going on?
Right.
Yeah, like what in the world is happening here? So
It was amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
but let's move on, Richie. Let's move on to, and again, we always talk about this. We talk about things in the crypto world, good or bad. We don't want to be the podcast that's just cheerleading the stuff. We've talked in the past about some of the shortfalls and some of the things about crypto that people are nervous about, rightfully so. And I think some of the things that people are concerned about are really coming to roost right now. And this really feels like a very huge moment in crypto, what's happening at FTX, what's kind of happened just in general in the last year or so. Look at the merge, with the outcome of the merge, maybe not being exactly what everyone thought it was going to be. Just in the end, it just really feels like regulation's coming, and it's going to be pretty strict. So I'm going to leave this to you, Roy. So
Yeah.
you go ahead
I
and
mean,
you talk to the
I
audience.
so first of all, one, I love the Ethereum merge. Like it's actually in the last couple of days, it's turned Ethereum into a deflationary asset. But the events of this past week, I'm still in shock. Like it's been the most ridiculous, craziest, anything that you can think of week where anything happened. So just a little bit of background. So Sam Bankman-Fried, SBF, he's a player in the industry that came to the forefront probably within the last 2 years. I mean, FTX, the exchange, has grown, into the big name that it is in the last like 2 to 3 years. And he kind of came out of nowhere. And for the last 2 years, he's been, crypto's golden boy. He launched a bunch of projects, funded them. Everything that he had associated with turned to gold. Like he was a golden boy. He was on, magazine covers. He was a frequent guest on Bloomberg and CNBC and all of these financial channels. He was working with people in DC on regulation for decentralized finance. So he was everywhere. And think about a week ago, maybe a week and a half. And my timeline might be wrong, but there was an article that came out in, I think it was CoinDesk, where they had gotten a hold of. So I guess stepping back, there was FTX, the exchange, and there's two parts. There's an international part and the U.S. part. But the international part was kind of like the main exchange that people use like overseas, not in the U.S. because of the U.S. regulations and things like that, with the SEC and all that stuff. So there was FTX International, and then he also had a trading arm that was called Alameda Research. And they were the ones that were kind of investing, his money into like different crypto assets, and people had the utmost respect for Alameda and also for FTX and for SBF, for Sam. And this CoinDesk article came out, it basically had a picture of the assets and it wasn't really clear what assets, whether there was from like Alameda or FTX or a combination or, all of the entities that Sam owned. But the gist of it was that the assets that they held, they were close to being insolvent or not, just basically not in good financial footing. SBF came out, and this girl named Caroline, who's the CEO of Alameda, came out and said, hey, you know what, like, that's not all the assets that we have. There's stuff that's missing. Everything's okay, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And, Sam was coming out and doing the same thing, basically saying everything's okay. We're fine, all kinds of stuff like that. I think also around this time, or maybe a little while ago, like Sam sent out this kind of snarky tweet because I think there was something happening with the Binance founder, this guy named CZ. And he was like, hey, that's great that, CZ's working on blah, 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 blah. And I think whatever it was in DC. And then his comment was, well, actually, can he even go there? Like, and people think that that's kind of what kicked off this whole entire thing. And so, they were like sniping at each other back and forth, CZ and Sam. And just in this wild turn of events, like Sam was tweeting like, hey, you know what, I wish we could work together. Like we want to do what's best for crypto. And then literally the day of the election, it came out basically where, hey, it seemed like FTX was having trouble. People were having trouble withdrawing assets. I think it was because people were withdrawing because of the article. They were worried that, oh, well, if FTX is close to being insolvent or they're on crazy, financial footing, I want to take my assets off of there.
Right.
Because we've all seen what happened like back in, I think it was May or June with Voyager and 3AC and Celsius, and all these crypto companies where, because they basically went bankrupt or insolvent, now they're locked in, these court battles and people can't get their assets out.
Right. What's a run on the bank, right?
Yeah. It was kind of like a bank run, basically.
Yeah, it's a bank. It's a run of a bank. Mm-hmm.
It's a run of the bank. Yeah. People didn't trust FTX anymore. And so they started pausing withdrawals because obviously when people are taking out billions of dollars worth of, or hundreds of millions or whatever of money,
mm-hmm.
They have stuff that they've invested in, obviously, and they might not have the liquidity to be able to cover that. So there was a suspicion that there was a liquidity crunch. And then on Tuesday morning, the morning of the election, Binance sent a tweet out, and Sam sent a tweet out basically saying, hey guys, Binance has entered into an LOI to acquire FTX, and it's pending due diligence, which, was, I think during the time that, there was that bank run, I think Alameda or FTX or whoever, they started selling some of their assets to get liquidity. So the market started dumping before that. Mm-hmm. And then the Binance tweet came out and, Sam tweeted about basically like how there was this LOI for the acquisition. The market immediately jumped back up. But, throughout the day, it started leaking where, things didn't look good. It was so weird because all of these players from this past cycle, like Do Kwon and even Suzu, who's part of 3AC, they've all been very quiet. But during this last day, they all came back in the picture. Suzu tweeted for the first time since I think must have been back in June when 3AC went under, mm-hmm. and they went quiet. Do Kwon was on one of these podcasts, and the even stranger thing about that is that Martin Shkreli, the pharma guy who raised the price of insulin or whatever it was that drug that people needed like 1,000 times and ended up going to jail. And he bought the Wu-Tang album. He was on a podcast basically telling Do Kwon, hey, jail's not that bad. Like, it was like so bizarre. It's like, what universe are we living in? Like, it's all of the weird things about crypto, like all just packaged into like a couple of days. It's been a really, I guess the last thing too is that Justin Sun, who's the founder of Tron, he's a great marketer. And after the Binance deal fell through, they rejected. He kind of stepped in, one to get assets off the FTX platform for Tron users. And then there's some speculation on whether he's working with FTX to try to help them as well. But basically what's come out is that the Alameda and FTX assets, weren't quite as separate as it was made to be seen, and this is all not all I think 100% confirmed, but there is basically around either $8 billion to $10 billion hole that needs to be filled, and supposedly Sam is running around now trying to get funding. So what happened was that they took 8 to 10 billion of user funds from the FTX exchange, gave that to Alameda. Alameda was using it to invest in, quote unquote, projects and whatever, and somehow it got, I guess, burned.
Yeah, I mean, so let me jump in here real quick, Royce, for you with some of those numbers. So
Sure.
13 hours ago, there's an article by the Business Insider quoting a Wall Street Journal article saying that FTX loaned out $8 billion of their customers' fund to Alameda, and that still, as of right now, Alameda still owes FTX a total tally of $10 billion. I mean, you think about if you're a customer of FTX, they're gambling with your money, and of course, they've lost, and now there really is no way to get this money back unless you get an infusion of funds to make people whole, which I doubt's ever going to happen. This is bankruptcy city. This is bankruptcy city right here.
They were degenning trying to make it back in one trade.
Right. They shorted Tether. They shorted Tether today.
Oh, is that what it says? I haven't heard that.
They shorted Tether today, and it went down briefly for $1.98. But that 2 cents is powerful. They could have made a lot of money on that 2 cents.
Could have, yeah.
Yeah.
The thing with Justin too is that he or the Tron Foundation or whoever put a bunch of Tron tokens on FTX and allowed people to trade for those Tron tokens and move it off the exchange. So like every token that's associated with Justin Sun and Tron, they were working with FTX to basically allow people to move them off the exchange. So they supplied a bunch of Tron tokens. People were buying it at I think 10 times the value that it was on the market. And I think what was happening is that they were making basically 10 times the amount of Tron that they had. So they're trading in like a Tron USD pair. The Tron Foundation or Justin Sun or whatever is getting 10 times the dollar amount of Tron that they would get on the open market because they're locked into FTX. And it gave people the ability to buy Tron and then also move their assets off, even if it's, a tenth of what they would get normally. That's better than zero. So
because they're probably not going to get, honestly, they're not going to be made whole. So this is the way to at least get some of it back. So
yeah, it's actually a pretty genius move because Justin's getting, or Tron or whoever is getting 10x on their
Tron's getting utility, Tron's getting buy, Tron's getting demand. So this is a nice opportunity move. Okay, Royce, can you bottom line this for us? A, what does this make you want to do with your digital cryptocurrency holdings? And B, what do you see for the future of crypto? Very quick, very succinct, so people can kind of just take it as like, something to chew on for a little bit.
Oh, right now for crypto or any risk asset, I'm waiting for the Fed to stop raising rates, first of all. Even though the market bounced today because of the cooler CPI print, I mean, I still think that they're going to be ratcheting up rates until they've paused or, things have turned around entirely. Like, I don't think this is a buy the dip moment, And then what was the second question?
Basically, what do you see as the future for crypto? Like, do you see people being willing to adopt? People going to be too scared? Is the upside of crypto permanently damaged by all the scrutiny in the last, really in the last year, this year? It really has all happened this year.
It's all happened this year. Yeah, like there are a bunch of failed projects. A lot of lost money. This one is particularly egregious. So you can't take customer funds and mingle that with a separate entity and degen that thing away.
Right.
It's funny that there was one of these non-crypto accounts on Twitter was basically saying like, everyone thought that Alameda was, the greatest traders in crypto, and it turns out like they were actually the worst. Yeah. I don't even know how you begin to lose $8 billion. But so I think that's why that's why everyone in crypto is really unhappy with Sam right now, is because he was so prominent in the space, because he was prominent in DC, because he was really the golden boy of crypto for the last 2 years. the stuff that he did and the contagion that it's going to cause across the entire space and VCs and everything, the reputational damage is immense to the entire industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's definitely going to, there were a bunch of, congressmen or congresswomen that were saying, hey, this is something that we need to look at. We need to have regulation. Even the press secretary was saying that today. So it's going to be an even bigger challenge now to get them to understand what crypto is. And really the biggest thing is that the things that have failed like spectacularly has all been centralized finance, not decentralized finance, but centralized finance, which is more like traditional finance. It's more like, the banks and things that we have today where all of the reporting and everything, it's all centralized, it's all internal. So you don't see what's really happening. Like in all of the DeFi applications, like Uniswap, Yearn, Cream, whatever, all the decentralized ones, all of that stuff you can see on chain. So there's never a question of what's happening. And also the code, it's open source. So you could go, anybody that can read code can go out there and see, what these apps are doing. In the case of these centralized institutions, like, Celsius, like FTX, you're relying on the trust of the people that are running the institution. And obviously what we've seen is that, there are going to be bad actors. And this is the same thing that the traditional finance industry went through, before as well.
Well, they continue to. I mean, fraudulent behavior is happening in banking. It's happening in stock markets all over the place. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, that's why the Fed was established too. I mean, it's the same thing.
Right. So on that, thank you for that, Royce. I spent a lot of time as you're explaining those things, and I try to maybe visualize what some of our listeners that aren't too involved with crypto, what they think when they're listening to this in their car, sitting on the toilet, whatever they're doing. And I wonder sometimes kind of like what their body language is, or they start rolling their eyes or just falling asleep. So I was watching Bumble the whole time. I just kind of wanted to see what that was like. So, I mean, on that note, Bubble, be the man of the people here with crypto. Because again, you're a good representation because you'll probably just hear people talking about, I made X amount of money in this and that, or you read a headline here or there, but never really got fully involved with it. What does any of this mean to you? How do you ever kind of view crypto to be like, or what it's about, or whatever, anything about it?
I just never really bought into crypto, and it's just because I'm never really something that interests me too much, so I'm not very educated in it. I like hearing people talk about it because it seems like a cool thing, but I never dove deep to figure out. When you guys are talking about the guy Sam, I read articles and heard about him. I just know his famous quote that he's been saying the last couple of days is I effed up. So I've seen those. I heard about Tron. One of my guys that I coached with, he's heavy into crypto, so he's always talking about it. He was early with Bitcoin. He invested a lot into Tron, so I know about that one. But it's just one of those things where it's like I'll listen, and then when it makes sense to me completely, then that's probably when I would take it serious. But I know that you guys actually do your research and take a look at these types of things, but it was just never something that interests me too much. So
I will say that probably the best thing to come out of this whole fiasco are all the memes and the tweets from all these. I didn't even send you guys half the stuff that I was looking at and just laughing at.
I didn't see any memes or tweets. I saw it in every time that I opened up my Yahoo, it was top at the very top. Wait,
newsflash. You use Yahoo?
Yeah.
You might be the only person I know that uses Yahoo.
Really?
I look at Yahoo Finance every so often.
No, that's Yahoo Finance. That's a specific. I use Yahoo Fantasy, but Yahoo.
I use that too.
Yeah. Yahoo is a splash page.
No.
It's been a while.
So when I'm going to go look at my fantasy, I'll look at Yahoo.
Oh yeah.
As well as I'll look at CNN. I'll look at Fox News. I look at all of those to find out the current events. But when I looked at Yahoo earlier today, that was the very top thing. So I was just like, okay, this looks like it's trending. So I read about it. So that's why I knew his mantra for the last couple of days was that I messed up. So yeah. I mean,
I'll send you guys some memes and some tweets. some
I
funny
love
ones.
Mr. Bean.
I've been I've been laughing when I've not been in shock this past couple of days. I've been laughing so hard.
Yeah.
I think
People
it
are
struck me
so
because
creative.
it said that he was worth like what 26 billion, and he's down less than $1 billion now. So that struck me. I was like, what the hell happened to this dude? Did he Kanye himself? So I read about it. So I mean, it's the
Mm-hmm.
whole thing.
It's yeah, it's pretty amazing. One of the investors in FTX was Sequoia,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently, like I think it was within the last week or so, they had posted this blog post talking about FTX and how they invested in Sam, and how like they were. It was basically they got roasted for it because the post was basically they were gushing over him. Like they had a meeting with him, and all of the the partners were gushing over him. This guy's amazing. Like blah 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 blah. Right. And turns out like one of the guys came over to talk to Sam, and he was playing League of Legends during the entire meeting.
Yeah.
But
You wanna
he
know it's
was
sidebar, Steve? If he
Mm.
was playing League of Legends, I guarantee you he knows Marcus Hill. Is it Marcus Hill?
Oh, no way. Marcus
Yeah,
Hill.
yeah, because
Yeah.
he's a professional League of Legends player.
He's yeah. He's a
he might have
gamer.
been playing with he might have played with him.
Guarantee.
Guarantee. Marcus Hill, man. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. It's one of our
Oh
Kalani
yeah.
basketball players.
Wow.
Man, Marcus Hill. Um,
Well,
I mean that is it is crazy stuff, and
that's
you know
crazy.
it. I mean, a lot of lost money everywhere. Like I said, bad actors are in every field of investment. Fraudulent things happen all the time, and it's unfortunate because it's the people at the bottom of the pyramid that get hurt the most. And moving on from that piece of bad news, and just kind of just on the theme of like sad moments and those type of things. Tonight's Thursday, and so there was Thursday night football, and the Bumble's favorite team is the Atlanta Falcons, the Dirty Birds. They did me a little dirty tonight. I had the over 41.5, and Youngwei Koo, who's usually reliable, he cost me that over with his two missed extra points. Um, but
How
I'm gonna let Bumble. I'm gonna let Bumble have his little moment here. After every game on Sunday, Bumble always posts something on Instagram with this one guy who dresses like a falcon, and he just complains about something that happened. I mean, I love that reel. I love those reels every time you post it. Cracks me up. So I'm gonna let you have a platform, have a moment with people around the world, Bumble. You go have your few minutes and talk about them Falcons.
I
give us a
cried in the
recap.
car. I cried in the car. So I had my moment as my wife rubbed my back and said it's gonna be okay. But man, I mean, the play calling. Let's just start with the play
Oh,
calling. I
no.
I I mean,
Oh,
it is what it is. Um, yeah, and then the inconsistency with players. We all know as players, the more reps you have, the better you will do. But when you're sitting there rotating your three running backs constantly, it's hard for them to get into the groove. So no wonder why your running game wasn't working. I think they ran the ball 25 times today, and I think we had less than 100 yards, if I'm not mistaken, combined. And then we threw the ball 30 times today, which we haven't really
mm-hmm,
done all season.
mm-hmm,
So the Carolina Panthers actually turned us into the opposite of what we have done this season. And then they did what we typically do on teams where they ran the ball a whole bunch of times. So if you look at the success that Carolina did, their running back ran the ball like 31 times for 100 and something yards because
mm-hmm.
he got those reps. He got the feel of the game. He got the feel of the defense. Uh, and then I think they threw the ball like 10 or 11 times. Now, granted, Mr. Walker is not the greatest quarterback. I think
PJ.
Marcus Mariota is way better than him at quarterback. But
Mm-hmm.
the play calls to make Marcus Mariota throw the ball the way that he was throwing it, I just don't. What was he successful in when he was in college? That's what
Mm-hmm.
you do because that's what he's comfortable with. What was he successful in high school? That's what you do because that's what he was good at.
Let me give you the stats, Bumble. 30 passes to Marcus Mariota tonight, 19 for 30, 186 yards. 30 attempts, 186 yards. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Running game, 25 carries, 138 yards. That's good running. Like yards per carry wise, that's some great running.
Mm-hmm.
That's 5 yards per carry. 5 yards per carry. And now when you look at Huntley, who ran the ball really well at the end of the game. Why did we wait so long to give that guy the ball? 5 carries, 32 yards. When Algier finally started to kind of pick up a little steam, he gets subbed out. So now his stats at the end of the game look terrible. 8 carries, 20 yards. It looks terrible. That's not really indicative of how he ran the ball, really. Because he had a couple decent runs, and all of a sudden he's out.
Every
So
time.
to your point, man.
Every time. And then let's not talk about our defense. Our defense is
Mm.
just awful. We don't blitz. We don't put pressure on the quarterback. We have the JV squad playing DBs, and bless their heart, they play hard. They play
Two
hard.
picks,
Yeah.
2 drop picks
Yeah.
at the
I
end of the
mean,
game. At the end of the game, they could have turned the game on that that drop pick.
so it's a carryover from last game where we get a fumble, get a break, and then we fumble we fumble the ball, and then we give the game away. So it's just a carryover. So it's one of those things. And then we got a guy playing left guard that can't block a soul. It was just it was a slew of things that I think it's frustrating being a Falcons fan, and I get it. We're strapped for cash this year. Trust me, I'm surprised we won this many games, to be completely honest. But I am frustrated because it seems like it's okay for this coaching staff to be this mediocre compared to the past coaching staff, where the past coaching staff, they didn't have this leniency to be like they were. You know what I mean? So it's tough. Even when we had Dan Quinn, those couple years that we had, the 2 bad years that we had under him, we were strapped for cash. We couldn't get anybody, and that was because of how much they paid Julio, how much they paid Matt Ryan. It's a tough situation. But I mean, hopefully, they stick with them, and
they were a victim of their own success.
Oh yeah, 100%.
When we
went to the Super Bowl, we couldn't keep everybody and couldn't pay everybody, and then we tried to pay like the top dudes and thinking they were going to be the same, and then we paid Julio Jones all that money when I said don't pay him that money. And then what did he do that next year? I think he played 4 games, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
yep.
He got hurt, right?
Yep. Got hurt.
Yeah. Well, he got hurt every year, even when
every year. Didn't matter.
He was always hurt. So
then he did that thing with Shannon Sharp on TV, and that was just weird. Like I don't know. The last 3 or 4 years with Julio Jones, it's been interesting just to watch the guy. Like he went from the quiet, seemingly mild-mannered wide receiver, successful, future Hall of Famer type. Then he became outspoken and it was like awkward. It was weird.
It is what it is. It's a frustrating team to be a fan of, but through thick and thin, when we're junk, I'm still going to cheer. When we're good, I'm still going to cheer. And I'm always going to tell everybody my team is going to beat their team. So we don't care. House Cats got us this time.
But tell me.
You should try being a Bears fan.
Yeah.
Hey, we play you guys this season. I think in a couple weeks, actually, if I'm not mistaken.
But what did you think when you saw on that 3rd and 18? Marcus throws a laser towards the kids, and he just reaches with one arm for the ball, slowing down.
Well,
sure looked like somebody that didn't want to get hit. He could have dove for that ball. He could have dove for that ball.
The tough part about it is Marcus Mariota will get blamed for everything that goes wrong with the offense. But when you look at who we have on offense, it's tough to be successful as a quarterback.
Yeah, you're right.
And when you have the play calls that they're calling, that I wouldn't say his strength, it's tough for him to be set up for success. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like RPOs, when
100%.
you see him throw the RPOs, boom, beautiful.
Boom.
Beautiful.
Boom.
Because it's like second nature. But then you got
it's in
this
rhythm,
dude,
it's on time, all of that.
Yep. And then you got this dude under center with the defense to his back trying to fake a pass and then expect him to go deep with it. Like Matt Ryan, that was his thing. That was his thing. But yeah, it is what it is. I mean, if you look at every team that has like a decent quarterback, their system is tailored towards that quarterback. Look at what Miami is doing with Tua. They tailored it to him, to his comfortability. What is he doing right now? He's killing it. And he got some studs at receiver that that can go. Who's our stud receiver?
Drake London, maybe.
Drake London for sure.
Drake
Lakeland.
London, maybe, because Kyle Pitts, we talked about this on text. That
So
dude runs the
question,
wrong route.
why is
He
he a
runs the
stud?
wrong routes all the time, all that kind of stuff. Like, what's going on?
But why is he a stud? Drake
He's a
London.
big dude.
He's
He's a
just
big
big
dude.
like Julio. Not as fast as
Hmm.
Julio was, right?
Nope.
But he's not a game breaker like Julio was when Julio came out.
You
Not
know,
right now. I don't know how fast he
I
is
think
either.
I
I mean,
think
coming out of
I
college,
think he'll do
He's on
good.
my fantasy team, so
I think
yeah,
he'll
but
do
coming out of
good.
college, they thought he would create mismatches, run down the field, and all those kind of things. But those things specifically is where he screwed up on Sunday. Those passes that Marcus missed him on, Marcus didn't miss him. He
No.
ran the wrong way or he cut the route off. You and I were texting about, we're fuming,
Yeah.
texting about that game where the game was going. So what is
I
Pitts
just
doing?
I just think in the last 2 years we had 2 early first round picks, and what did we get? We got a tight end and we got a wide receiver. When we could have got some defenders, or we could have got some linemen, you know,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
or possibly a decent quarterback. I don't know,
yeah, yeah.
but at this point, we're not in the sweepstakes for the good quarterbacks that's coming out this year. So we'll see.
No.
And I don't think they're planning on getting a quarterback because I think they're hell bent on this Ritter. So
Desmond Ritter. Yeah, we'll see how that all plays out, and we'll see how the season plays out for the Falcons. They're in the weakest division in the NFC. You know, they are one game out of first place with this loss. Half a game for now. Probably going to be one game by the end of the weekend.
hmm
The Super Bowl, the Voices who are blogging Super Bowl is next week, the November 20th, in Mercedes-Benz Zone between the Chicago Bears and Atlanta Falcons. That is next week.
told you. Oh, that's an easy dub
So,
for us. Easy dub.
No comments. No comments.
Easy
Royce,
dub.
I have
Royce,
The
zero
only
your
the
Bears
comments.
only
are
reason
your
the only
Bears are
reason
showing
why I
life.
say that only reason why I say that is because Justin Field is coming home and
Coming
he
home,
is
baby.
going to choke.
Yeah, coming home, baby.
He is
Just got to get
going.
him in the open field somehow.
Yeah, he doesn't play good in Georgia. After high school, he hasn't played good in Georgia.
By the way, I just want to say that when I used to play flag football, I had the Vicks.
It didn't make you any faster.
No, it didn't. Didn't make my
But they
arm
look
any
good.
better.
But they look good.
Yeah, but I look good. You know, like that's one thing I learned playing baseball. I was like, you might as well look good if
No,
you're gonna play bad.
I may say that we're gonna beat them, but I truly it's gonna be a tough game. It's gonna be the the Bears are playing pretty good. They're playing pretty good. So
Amazingly, they are. Amazingly, they are.
Offensively,
And
they're letting Fields be Fields,
yeah,
which
yep.
is the only thing you
Yeah.
can do with a quarterback like that. You got to let him be who he is. Look what's happening to Marcus when you don't let him be who he is. To your point again, Bumble.
You guys were talking about that, and you know, I feel like the mark of a good coach is someone that can adapt to the players that they have. But there aren't many coaches that adapt to the players that they have.
The only ones that do are the ones that are being successful.
Yeah, it's
So
kind of crazy.
I mean, Shanahan, he adapts to his quarterback. Whatever his quarterback is best at, that's what he's gonna do. Look at Mike McDaniels with Tua. He's adapted.
Yeah.
If you look at their offense,
Yeah.
everything that they used to do was always to the right of the field. Now where is it?
Correct.
To the left. So
On top of that, that's a running offense, and he's gone away from that. Like that's a running first offense originally,
Yep.
but because of the weapons he has on the outside and even on the inside, like the Miami has a shot here. They really have a shot here with that defense, and they're getting Chubb to give them a few weeks to get going.
Yep.
Miami has a shot,
They're
legitimate
tough.
shot.
They're looking tough.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where it gets frustrating, especially when you're watching your team and you're just like, man, why are you not adjusting to the guys that you have?
Yeah.
And if you know
Yeah.
on defense your guys can't bring pressure to a quarterback, you gotta bring extra pressure. I don't even
Yep.
know the name of the guy that's on our D line. He's number 9. He's trash.
Is that
He's
Carter?
supposed to rush. He does not
Wow.
rush.
Is that Carter?
Yeah,
That's
I think
Carter,
it's
right?
And Lorenzo Carter. And they say he's
Yeah.
so good, but if you actually watch him, he does not rush. He'll wait and wait and wait, and then he'll just push on a guy. And I'm like, how are we ever going to get to the
Okay.
quarterback? The quarterbacks have all day to pass on us. No wonder why our safeties are just bad.
Let me point something out. about Lorenzo Carter, and this is how you know the Bumble doesn't care. He don't care. If someone, he's just gonna call a spade a spade. This is a Georgia Bulldog. That's his team.
It's my guy.
This is a
He was
guy.
my guy at Georgia.
It is what it is, but when it comes down to it, when it comes to the pro game, it is what it is. You got to show something. And when the Giants draft you in the third round, you do a whole bunch there, and now you're here with the Falcons with a chance to play a lot. Like
A
he's out
lot.
there all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Tough.
All the time. Tough crowd, huh? Tough crowd, huh, Royce? Tough crowd, huh?
Tough crowd.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, man. You let it all out yet, Bumble? You got anything
Yeah,
more to say
I'm
about
good.
tonight's
I
game?
just can't believe we lost to the House Cats. I don't.
Well, you
Yeah.
tried to lose to them 2 weeks ago.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
When
We're
I
like, here's the
suffered,
game. Have fun.
I
Here's the game.
suffered almost the worst bad beat of all time on that Hail Mary.
That
I'm not
was
sure
that
there was a
was
bad beat any worse than that Hail Mary.
Hey, just let the
Oh my
best
God.
wide receiver on the field behind you guys.
Yeah,
Come
you know,
on.
actually I lost on the Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary against the Lions. That cost me money.
I mean, but
But
what
what
were
a
the
jerk.
Falcons doing waiting on the 20-yard line? They just stopped dropping back.
Hey,
What were you doing?
that's the defensive coordinator's job to answer that.
Hey.
Yeah, it's tough.
So it's been
Crazy.
it's been a tough few weeks for our podcast and our picks, partly because we really have experienced some pretty bad beats.
Yeah.
The last 2 weeks have been some pretty bad beats. How many times do we see a team make a game-changing turnover and turn it over on the same play 20 yards downfield
Again, my Falcons.
without getting hit? Just
Yeah.
drop the ball. Just drop
Yeah.
the ball.
Yeah. Gotta
I
love
was
it.
Yeah, there's-
stoked.
Gotta love it. Doesn't
Brutal.
touch. No one touches him.
No one touched it.
It touched his right nipple.
Touches.
That's what happened.
Right. I mean, kind of shaped his nipple. I think that's why he dropped it. It burned a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Goodness, it's just been sad. It's been sad.
Yeah. Hey, Royce, you want to pick up the podcast a little bit? Let's pick up the Bumble here a little bit. He's looking pretty sad now.
Just a little bit.
You know what?
Don't worry, you'll play the Bear soon.
You know what will excite him though?
It'll make you feel even worse.
Bumble, you want to tell us about your baked monopool making experience at home?
Oh, I want to hear about this. This sounds good.
All right, so it's not my experience. Okay, for one. For two, my wife has been on this come up with something to sell or something to cook or just want to try something. So she was like, I want to try monopool because you say it's hard to make. I said, it's not hard to make, it's just time consuming. And the couple times that I made with you, I was like, this is a lot of work. So she decided to go and get all the food and, prepare it. So she made char siu for the first time. Came out damn good. So I'm proud of her on that. The dough was frozen dough, by the way. She didn't make it, so you probably would have been mad at that. But she made all she had a little recipe and put it all together and had to teach her how to wrap it and put it together. And she did a better job than I did, of course. And it came out pretty damn good. It's just the dough wasn't like sweet like I like it, but it still came out good. So it was interesting. It was funny to watch her make it because usually she'll be like, here, I want this. Can you make it? And then I'll go and make it. But this time she got all the stuff. And I told myself, because it was on a Sunday and it was football, I was like, I'm not helping. I want you to experience this making it because you always say everything is so easy. And when I say my wife experienced every single emotion you can think of cooking by herself, it was epic to watch. Now, granted, I'm sitting on the couch, holding myself on the couch, trying not to get up to go and help her because I really wanted her to learn that lesson. But hearing her swear, hearing her drop stuff, hearing her panic, rush around, it was glorious to see. But it was also a lesson where she's like, it's not hard, but it's a lot of work. So it was an epic time watching it unfold. So I really did not do anything. I just ate it.
Nice. Yeah. I can't make monopool. It's too much.
Too
much.
So for those of you in the audience that don't know what a monopoly is, that is a word that was derived in Hawaii for the Chinese char siu bao, hum bao, whatever you want to call it. And this is the baked version that typically is made with sweet bread, gets a nice little sugar glaze on the outside, and with the Chinese barbecue
Eh,
pork, the char siu, kind of cooked together.
yeah.
So just
In, in, a,
just
in
in
a,
case, because I know we do have audiences in Honduras and in
no,
Germany
for sure.
and
Yeah,
every
for
side.
sure.
Let's make sure that's
We're
kind of translate for
international.
them. Yeah, I mean
We're international, Bumble.
Bumble. I mean, let's be honest here,
But
and Rice might scrub this, but how often do you think a black
no,
man taught an Asian woman how to make char siu bao?
Hey, there's a first. There's a
one.
first.
I'm gonna say one. I'm gonna say
There's
one.
there's a first for everything, but that little 3 minute still goes up on the screen right now.
Oh, oh, I can't watch
You know,
Sports Center tonight. I can't do
just,
it. Hurts my
I will say
feelings.
a little bit of background though. Like Steve in a past life has been a Monopool pro, so
Whoa.
he knows.
You say that in a past tense, has been?
Well, I mean,
Oh
like
no.
in like
No,
another
no.
life, like in
No.
another.
No.
Are you still making making them
Yes,
on a
of
consistent?
course.
Dude,
I'll I'll
now I'm
I'll
angry,
make
dude. I'm
some.
not
I'll
getting any, dude. How come I'm
so
not getting any?
for those in the
Can
audience
I?
that don't know, one of my businesses is a private chef, private cooking, catering type business, and I use my background in this Chinese food business I grew up in, along with travel throughout the world and my knowledge of health and wellness to kind of cook for professional athletes or cook for parties for everyday folk, cater parties for former athletes that I've worked with, even for their own weddings and stuff. So it's kind of a great experience. And on that note, Bumble and I have a great story about that because once I had him help me at this fundraiser charity event, and talk about racial stereotypes, and so Bumble was in charge of the deep frying, and
Right.
so he was frying chicken wings. I mean, it is
That's
what it
right.
is,
Yep.
right? So he goes in there and he unloads the batch that he just cooked outside, brought it into the banquet hall, and starts refilling the tray of chicken wings. And an unnamed professional athlete walks up to him and he says, "What to you?"
I forgot, but he said something to the effect of, "Who made this chicken?" Something like that.
Yeah,
This chicken is
to
damn
you.
good or something.
Yeah, assuming it was you.
Yeah.
And then you said the Chinese guy over there.
Yeah. Yeah. Who made this chicken? You made this chicken? I was like, nope, not me, not I, not I. Yeah. What's funny is I was the guy who made the crispy gouji.
Yep. Anytime we did food truck rallies or anything like that, where we had a booth, street food type things. Bumble was in the tent, standing over the 400-degree oil in the huge wok, and he's deep frying gouji, man. Just
Yep.
doing it. For every 10 he fried, he ate one. It's like it is what it is. You got to
Nice.
taste test. It's quality control.
It was
You know.
yeah, it was delicious.
It is.
You gotta feed the people good food, right? So yeah.
Next time we're together, you guys are gonna have to make some gauji and fried chicken.
Mm.
That might
And
be a party in
yeah.
Arizona. I think we're overdue to come out to Zona, throw a party in that backyard,
Yeah.
get in that hot tub, get in that swimming pool, watch football or watch something back there, pass out in the backyard, stuff
Hey,
like that.
anytime. Oh, we do have like the little bed thing that's out, the day bed out there in the yard too, with a little shade. So yeah,
Royce
nice,
Royce
comfortable.
gets handsy.
Nice.
Royce gets handsy though. When we sleep at places, like he always comes closer and closer. When you
Yeah,
sleep anywhere near
I
that
was
guy.
about to thank you for all the Monopoly that you used to bring up to me in college last year, but I'll take it back. Nah, I take it back.
Don't worry, he can get his own room.
He was just trying to buy my silence.
I have to sleep with pillows on the front and the back side.
Now I know what was
When
happening.
I'm in the same room with Royce. Not in the same bed, just same room.
Can't help it. I don't know.
See, there you go. We can end this
Uh,
kind of pseudo-serious podcast. And again, we're not making light of anybody that might have got financially hurt by what's happening in the crypto world. It's really
no, it's
bad.
awful. It's
It's
awful.
really bad. Like, Royce has probably suffered some depreciation of his assets. Whatever I have, of course, has gone down a little bit. But we've talked to this for a long time. Royce and I are long term or in it just to kind of see what's going to happen in this market. We believe that it's going to have a place in this world, and whatever it is, it
No,
is.
yeah, it's still the future. But yeah, I mean, this week, like if you looked at people across all of crypto Twitter and people that have been here that I've talked to, been in the space for a long time, like this is probably the worst last couple days like ever. It's been just wild.
I think I heard this
So-
more than I heard about the dropping of the the Bitcoin, when Bitcoin dropped for a while. It's bigger than
For
that,
sure.
I feel.
Everything.
Yeah, for sure. Much
Yeah.
bigger. Much bigger. It's going to shake people out of the market. That's why.
100%.
And
It's a black.
that's always the challenge with future adoption is it's going to shake people out of the market.
It's just awful for the space.
Yeah.
But
So
like anything else, like the .com bust, there's going to be winners. It's not the end. So it just sucks.
Yeah. It'll turn around, I think. Like everything else
Well,
does
I mean,
eventually.
and like always, we want to show both sides of the story as much as we can. I'm sure there's a lot of podcasts out there or other things that people write or Twitter accounts they just want to talk about when things are going great. Like it's not about that, man. It's just about talking about what's going on. Try to educate and entertain. So with that, Royce, we got anything left for the audience? Any last words?
Just hang in there. It's a crazy week.
Been a crazy week all around.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, Bumble, you'll recover, man. You pretty much have a bye week next week, So I'm sure
I'm not worried about it. I got the day off tomorrow. I'm happy.
Yeah, and I'm sure the Falcons,
Awesome.
At the end of next week,
Awesome.
they're gonna be 5-6 at the end of next week. So it is what it is. But we want to thank everybody. Tomorrow's Veterans Day. We want to thank everyone who served and thank you for your service.
Thank you for your
And
service.
with that, we want to sign off and tell everybody thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.
See you on the next one.
All right.